watch is mainly to give a literacy on the budgetary terms, and because it's a union budget is a annual affair every year, the month of February, our honorable finance minister tabled before the parliament, and all the ministers, MPs, all take part in this mega event, which is of national importance, as all of you know. So this Budget Watch Academy has been doing since 2003. It's almost roughly about 20 years now, 19 years. So we have been doing very systematically with our own student participation and make them to understand the budgetary terminologies and how important the budget like. So I request our academy students, as any good thing starts in our culture with a prayer or reflection. So I ask my students to do a reflection.
Thought leads to the words, words leads to action, action leads to habit, habit leads to goodness, good habit leads to goodness, goodness delivers greatness, greatness delivers excellence, was to sustain excellence. Know the truth by deed of us, to know the truth by deed of us. Truth leads to inner light, truth leads to sharper mind. Let us walk on path of truth. Sustain virtue whole worldwide, to sustain virtue whole worldwide. Thank you. Where there is hatred, let me so love. Where there is injury, let me so pardon. Where there is doubt, let me sow faith. Where there is whispers, let me sow hope. Where there is darkness, let me sow light. Where there is sadness, let me sow joy. Let all of us get good prosperity. Let the world be happy. Let us have a good heart. All by the God Almighty. All by the God Almighty. Thank you. 1 minute silence.
യാതും ഊരെ
யாவரும் கேளீர் தீதும் நன்றும் திறகரவாரா.
Yeah, thank you, students. So good morning once again to all. I am A. Gurunathan, Director of Academy. And we have a guest from UK, Smala Morris. She's also joined and she will be one of the panelists in the post-lunch session. She is also an IMA alumnus, and few more expert panelists will be joining in the post-lunch session. And some of our alumni, TD alumni, and also college students from colleges have joined. So welcome all of you. So this union budget, which is a very important national event where we come to know, understand about the soundness of economy, Indian economy, and how the government makes the spending for the development sector, mainly for the underprivileged community, and to improve their lifestyle or improve their standard of living, improve their employment opportunities, livelihoods and all. So mainly, if you remember, every year on February, which is a budget for the coming financial year. That means April 22 to March 23. So that is the period for which the budget will be presented. The allocations will be made. Today they will also share the report card of what was the allocation during the last budget and what was the actual spending. So they will be presenting in a way budgeted estimate and revised estimate when what was the actual spending. If you all remember, our Honorable Finance Minister has presented very nicely the large budget in 6 important pillars. And she very nicely used the nicely coined words and put everything into that within that 6 major topics. And the new schemes were announced. I think Central University in Leh was announced. So many new announcements have happened, and there are a lot more aims were announced, and there were that heritage research in Tamil Nadu, like besides Keeladi in Mannachanallur, for that research they have announced. Like that, there are a lot of announcement, especially because the last 2 years we were all under the threat of COVID-19 pandemic, and it is slowly becoming now endemic after Omicron. So this is a major challenge for the government because the government had to vaccinate the entire nation, and because the vaccination is free in the country like us, where is a huge population, so that is government spend a lot of money on the vaccination, and even then the people still, there are some people who are not yet getting vaccinated, and which is becoming a threat for others. So with these type of challenges, and also there are some source of income is being reduced, especially India has to get a lot of tourism income, and the last two years it has been affected. So like that, the export and import type of the imbalance in that, though agriculture sector is started doing better because it was not affected by the lockdown, but still the manufacturing sector and other type of sectors have not yet picked up in terms of economic parlance or economic performance. And employment generation is one of the important thing, and the employment is also, the generation is also very slow. So with these type of constraints and limitations, let's wait and see how our finance minister is going to make this budget more memorable or more useful for the country or nation altogether. And also, more specifically, as our students are from development management background, for the development sector, how does this budget is going to benefited? That is what we are going to see. So now, by 11 o'clock, our Honorable Finance Minister will start presenting. So then at that time, we will live stream the budget. And now our students will be giving an overview presentation on what is the budget is all about, the terminologies and other things, and how does the last year budget performed in terms of social sector and economic sector. Like four presentations are there. So I invite the students to order their presentation, and each one should not take more than 10 to 15 minutes because the time is another 45 minutes only. So they need not present each and everything. So please, so I request the first presentation group can come and make a presentation.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. My screen is visible on. Hello. Hello. It is visible, sir. Can you give me reply?
Yes, it is visible now.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. From our academy, PDM 21 is giving presentation for previous year's budget allocation from 21 to 22. First slide, we are going to explain about the basics of budgeting. Me and Resam Kumari, we will explain that. First, we need to understand what is budget. Budget is come from the word budget, that means pouch and leather bag. And definition is that annual financial statement presented by the finance ministry is called budget, and it is always giving the detailed information of the government income and expenditure from starting the year from 1st April to 31st March. And if we are going to discuss about the outlook of that budget, that will be the actual expenditure for preceding year, the revised estimate for the current year, and the budget estimate for the next year. And budget is prepared by the Union Budget Ministry of Finance, and budget prepared with the help of Finance Ministry, different kind of stakeholders and businessmen and economics. This is the sixth pillar they are focusing on for financial year 2021 to 22. The six pillars is health and well-being, physical and financial capital infrastructure, inclusive development for aspirational India, and human capital, innovation and research and development, and minimum government and maximum government. Next. This one is income, where government is getting those income. Their main primary source of income is the tax, direct tax and indirect tax. Direct tax means some company, they are paying from their income, directly paying some tax. And indirect tax is like we are buying some clothes and everything, we have to give GST. That is their government indirect tax income. And another revenue source of income is asset sale, then disinvestment, surplus of RBI. This kind of thing is there, another source of income. there is expenditure component. That is described about how government spending their money in which sector. That is revenue expenditure. Revenue expenditure means which is not good for our country, which is affect our country's asset. That government expending those in salaries, pension, manufacturing expenses, insurance, and capital expenditure, which is affect our asset, which is increased our asset. Government investing some money in a long-term project for our country's growth, and invest money in different ministry and spend money in scheme which is help our Indian budget, Indian economy. And about capital and revenue budget is about capital payment and capital receipt. Capital payment is like expenses in long term asset like health and education, which will give some good feedback, a good thing to our Indian economy. And revenue receipts means some income getting from taxes and all. And capital receipts loan from the other sectors. And revenue expenditure is expenses of our country. Next. This is the major allocation among financial year 21 to 22. Government spending more money in the Ministry of Defense rather than in education sector or in health sector. Next slide will be explained by Resham Kumari.
The major allocation among sectors budget year. This is a major allocation among sectors budget estimate financial year 2021 to 22. As already Priyanka explained about expenditure, how government is spending money on different sectors, and expenditure for 2021 follows the same trend as a previous year. It has, and because of pandemic outbreak, because of pandemic outbreak, witness has so far increased with a sharp rise in expenditure as a percentage of GDP in financial year 2020-21. The budget estimate was a 13.5% expenditure, but according to revised estimate, it has increased from 13.5 to 17.7, and it is expected to decrease in financial year 2021 to 22 from 17.7 to 15.6. Next. Allocation to the major schemes. As we can see that in budget year, financial year 2021 to 21, Mandrika fund was given to major fund was given to the Manrega, but it has decreased in 2021 to 22 according to budget estimate. And we can see that less fund was given to National Education Mission in year 2020 to 21, according to revised estimate. But it has increased in financial year 2021 to 22 budget estimate. And as same we can see that in financial year 2020 to 21, metro project got less fund, but it has increased in financial year 2021 to 22. Expected income from different source budget financial year 2021 to 22. Center borrowings and liability has been the highest source from which money has come into economic. Beside GST and income tax collection has been a major source of revenue for the government in the past year, which help government to increase their GDP. Capital expenditure over the year. As we can see that trend shows continuous increase and decrease in capital expenditure, but it has increased from 5.54 in financial year 2021 to 22. Fiscal deficit of India over the years. It has continuously increasing, but it continuous increasing up to from the financial year 2014 to financial year 2020, but it has observed that sharp increase in year 2021 to 22, where it is expected to decrease in financial year 2021 to 22. Budget winners and losers in financial year 2021 to 22. Hospital and real estate and construction, metal makers and state-run banks and textile got more fund than the bonds exporters and farmers and IT firms. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Now presenting the social sector. We know that education and health are the more important for a foundation of a country. So we are going to see an overview on education, water and sanitization, health and nutrition. Due to COVID, the education system got very much damaged. In 1968, it was considered that 6% of total GDP should be given to the education sector, but till now, 3.1% only is given to the education sector. And many of the children went out of the school because of lockdown. And it was it was to reveal the national education policy, and it was to give a clean roadmap for it. From this we can see that there is lot of difference between target of the budget and what was implemented. For example, for skill India mission, target was about 6 millions, but what actually was placed is 1.3 million. There is a huge gap. And for out of the complete allocation of education, 8.2 was reduced for the school education. And out of 93,224 crores, 31,050 crores were allocated for some Siksha, but was utilized for the it is the education sector. For last 4 years, the investment in education sector was increased, but due to COVID, it got decreased. And school education budget was reduced by 8.2. And there was no consideration about the online education system. Because of COVID, many all the education went online, but in the budget, it was not considered separately. And out of 1.4%, which was to be allocated for earlier child education, only 0.42% of the GDP was allocated for it. And government spent only 0.4% of the total GDP. In states, out of 100, 27% only approved by the central government for the budget in the first 8 months of 2021 to 22. And the government spent more on the salary of the teacher than other important sectors that should be considered. And the good thing is that for 100 Sainik schools has been approved by the government recently, and also one central university in Leh. Coming to a water and sanitization, the budget provided sharply increase in water registration, a sharp increase in allocation of water sanitization. The aim of this was to provide tap water connection to 500 AMRUT cities and Muru cities, and it was the first time that urban water has considered as separately. And out of this, the Jal Jeevan Ministry got 83% of total
got 83% of total allocation of budget, and for the financial year 21 to 22, in which it was which got an increase from the previous years, and the shares which was released by the government for work is only 26%. So there is a huge difference between the what government is expecting and what government is doing. So there should be a reality based target.
Health Health sector is suffering from weak infrastructure, human resource shortage, and high out-of-pocket expenditure even before pandemic. Also, here high out-of-pocket expenditure means the government is means not giving its attention towards the insurance schemes and pre-healthcare. The more critical the situation become more critical during pandemic. The parliamentary standing committee and the economic survey 2020-21 recommended that there is need of enhancement in allocation for strengthening of healthcare system, especially rural primary healthcare infrastructure and human resources. These are the important aspects of health budget 2021-22. Overall allocations of rupees 2,23,846 crore for whole health and well-being. This is the this investments is increased by 137% as compared to the previous year, that 2020-21. The budget speech of 2021-22 announcing rupees 64,180 crore over 6 centrally sponsored scheme, that is Pradhan Mantri Atmanirbhar Swasth Bharat Yojana for development of primary, secondary, and tertiary level of healthcare. The total health and well-being budget includes rupees 98,752 for nutrition and water and sanitation. There is 35,000 crore rupees announced for only COVID-19 vaccination, and the rupees 13,192 crore grants for health by 15th Finance Commission. This chart is showing how what is the increase in budget estimate or what is the decrease in budget estimate. This is the comparison between 2020 to 21 budget estimate and 2021-22 budget estimates. The 2021-22 budget estimates is increased by 9.27% as compared to the budget of 2020 to 21, and but the revised estimate of 2021-22 is decreased by revised estimate of 2020 to 21 by 10.87%. The second chart is showing how much GDP is India is spending on health. Means less than 2% GDP is spending spending on health. But when we see the other countries like US, Japan, US is spending 17% GDP, Japan is spending 10% GDP. There should be increase in GDP on health by government. The inferences from this chart is the budget of, as I told, as per high level group on healthcare sector, union budget allocation towards health sector should be rupees 1.13 lakh crore, means 0.68 out of GDP, but the allocation was only 0.35%. Out of pocket expenditure of health in India is 60%, which is higher than the world benchmark. To reduce that to 30% of the allocation should be up to 2.5% of GDP, but the actual allocation was 0.35% of GDP only. Allocation for Ayush means Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Siddha, and Homeopathy was 2.97% of the total budget. However, the benchmark allocated recommendation standing committee to Ayush was 5%. This slide is showing the budget expenditure on major health scheme, that is the National Health Mission including Ayush, Pradhan Mantri Swasthya Suraksha Yojana, Ayushman Bharat, that is Pradhan Mantri Arogya Yojana. The budget estimates for 2021 to 22 for NHM is increased by 20% than the budget estimates for 2020 to 21. The inferences from that slide is the economic survey calls to emphasizes on the NHM for reducing the inequality in healthcare access. Means in rural healthcare, rural healthcare management centers and urban healthcare management center. Budget allocation for NHM of 2000, as I said, National Health Authority recommended allocation of rupees 32,220 crores on Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, but budget allocated only rupees 6,400 crores. Next slide. The next point is nutrition. India is fighting the dual battle against COVID-19 and malnutrition. India is accounted third of the global burden of malnutrition. Child stunting, wasting, underweight, and anemia is increased. Disruption in coverage of essential nutrition services and food security due to pandemic. This slide is showing how should be the budget estimate for the nutrition. Next. Important aspects of nutrition from budget 2021 to 21. I see integrated child development development scheme have been merged to form the new Saksham Anganwadi and Mission Poshan 2. Allocation total allocation for this scheme is 20,105 crore. The schemes are that four merged schemes are Anganwadi Services, Poshan Abhiyan, Scheme for Adolescent Girls, and National Creature Scheme. Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana has been declined 7% by combining three schemes into Samarth. 56% funds released for Poshan Abhiyan spent till 31st March 2021 only. This is the chart showing what is the allocation for different missions and what was the demand. Means for allocation for Anganwadi services 2021 is rupees 20,530 crore, but it is the 83% of original demand. Next. Inferences from this slide is the allocation for Mission Poshan 2 in 2021-22 shows a 18.5% drop compared to the combined allocation for four merged scheme in 2020-21. It indicates rationalization shrinking the resource envelope for the scheme. Sharp decrease in allocation for funds from 2021-22 to 2021-22. Anganwadis were closed affects nutritional interventions, but this issue is not addressed in budget. Vacant posts is Anganwadi services, 30% child development project officers, and 28% of lady supervisors vacant. But there is no consideration of this in last year budget. These are the challenges they are facing while budget estimate reduction. These are the challenges of budget estimate: reduction in out-of-pocket expenditures from 60% to 30%, transparency and regulation of scheme under NHM, especially focus on NRHM and Ayushman Bharat, equitable allocation of health budget among the states, increment in physical infrastructure, that is primary health care, currently 1 bed per 1,000 people, whereas global average is 2.9 beds. Increment in human resources, doctor and specialist, currently one doctor for 1,456, whereas who recommended 1 doctor for 1,000 people. I will request to next group for present economical section. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. We are going to talk about performance of economic sector under agriculture sector, rural development, employment, and climate finance. I am Niranjan. I am going to talk about agriculture sector. In India, 70% rural household depend on agriculture for their livelihood, with 82% farmer being small and marginal. Agriculture and allied sector contribution in GDP 20.2% in 2020-21, which is which is high as compared to previous 17 years. Share of agriculture in total employment is 39.4% in 2020-21, which is high in previous year. Allied sector like animal husbandry, fisheries, dairy development, and education contribute around 40% of agriculture income. During the pandemic period, agriculture is the only sector to have a positive growth of 3.4% in 2020-21 when other sector is slid. Government of India is aiming at doubling the farmers' income. In this chart, we can see allocation to agriculture is increased from 2018-19 to 2020-21. But in 2021-22, it was reduced, though this sector performed well amidst the pandemic condition. Allied sector contribute 40% of allied sector contribute 40% of agriculture income. Small and marginal farmers mostly dependent upon the income from allied activities. But allied sector continued got allocated a meager share, whereas crop sector receive major share. We can see in first chart. In second chart, allocation towards core agriculture intervention like scheme meant for crop and non-crop intervention have come down over the years. Allocation for other intervention like PM Kisan, crop insurance, price support and interest subvention have increased. This chart talk about programmatic allocation. Here different scheme is there. Here we can see government spend more money on three scheme, like government spend more money in PM Kisan scheme. PM Kisan is a major centrally sponsored scheme to tune of 10,000 crore rupees in 2021 to 22. Secondly, government spent more money on providing short-term credit to farmers. And third, government allocate more money on Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Next, Halil.
Good morning here. Good morning, one and all here. So now we are going to talk about the rural development. How the performance of the budget in the rural development. So in the COVID pandemic situation, our entire rural economy got distressed because of the reverse migration. People who comes from the urban area and to working towards the goes to work towards the rural area caused a reduced the sources of livelihood in the urban areas. So the return of millions of rural workers in the search of food, shelter, and livelihoods choked out the rural labor markets as well as the resource of the livelihood. So rejoining of the work is also slowing down in the metro cities because of our overall economic growth is getting slowed down. So to give the importance in increasing the rural economy, it will help us to revive the overall economy of the India. So there is a need to constantly focus on the rural development in the budget. So this slide represents the latest budget allocation for the MG Narega. So from the in the 2020 to 21 budget estimation was 3.9% of the total budget expenditure, but in the revised expenditure it was raised up to 5.7, and in the total GDP also it got doubled to 1.0. So the latest budget allocation was lowest since 2015 to 2016, but in the pandemic period it got increased. This shows the rural development. So in the first slide, we can see that the development of rural, Department of Development, Rural Development, MG Narega, they allocated almost 61,500 crore rupees in the budget estimation of 2022-21. But in the revised estimation, it has been doubled, and in the budget estimation of 21 to 22, it got decreased. So because of the decrease, it will limit the scope of the MG Narega people. So the infinite delay will happen in the wage payment for the people. So additional fund mobilization has been required from the SHGs and other private sectors. So the because of this, the rural infrastructure got low priority like roads and other schemes. So the amount allocation for the budget estimation is 2.7 to 2.8 for the infrastructure in the coming financial year. So the second graph represents the out of 28 states, out of 28 states, 22 states already spend excess amount, excess funds available until January 31st December 2021. So Manipur is the highest percentage, total expenditure of 155%. So lowest expenditure is Gujarat and Uttarakhand, these two states. And Uttarakhand having high difference of 44%. Bihar, Maharashtra, Odisha spend less than the last year in the current financial year of 2021 to 2022. So the third graph represent how much liabilities pending liabilities we have. So up to 2020 to 2021, it was around 3,493 crores, but there is a slight increase in the year of 2021 to 2022 up to December 31st. So in the 2021, the liabilities up to 10,654 crores. So the pandemic period, during the pandemic period, the wages has been increased by 4% for the MG Narega. So in Kerala state, there is no increase, and Meghalaya, there is a high increase of 11%. So 16 out of 28 states has paid the wages lower than the notified wages. Like Telangana, rupees 64, they paid lesser than the notified wage, and Tamil Nadu, rupees 62, and Rajasthan, rupees 36. So in the financial year 2021 to 2022, 295 crore persons were working, but it has been increased to 389 crore. So now we talk about the employment. So Indian economy has been always facing the unprecedented job crisis. So the PLFS, there's a survey conducted by the PLFS. So it reflects that there is a sudden shot up of 24 percentage of unemployment in the period of pandemic due to labor demand. So these were the second picture represent the major announcement relating to the labor and employment in the budget speech of 2021 to 2022. So from this, the for the skill development program, they reduced the budget allocation from 3,002 crore to 2,875. So this results in budget cut in the PMKVY scheme of 221 crore. Neglect employment of women schemes like Kar Yojana. The women got the budget got rejected for this employment schemes. So inadequate allocation for social security on unorganized sector like Bima Yojana and Pradhan Mantri Sharam Yojana and Pradhan Mantri Karam Yogi Mandan. So the major allocations requiring borrowing from SHGs and private agents. So the in economic, private agents may not borrow because to avoid the risks, and these programs will fail to generate the jobs for the people. So the PMMO allocate rupees 510 crore in 2021, 2020 to 2021 budget estimation, but it has been slightly increased to 2,505 crore in the budget estimation of 2020 to 2022. So the last picture represents the Ministry of Labor Employment, their budget estimation and revised estimation in the several schemes. Next. So these are the some programmatic allocations for the employment. So major increase in allocation in the budget or in the programs that require borrowing by private agents and SHGs. So for example, the Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana PMMY to promote self-employment, a credit guarantee fund to support loans saw a fivefold increase in allocations. In an economy with a negative growth rate, private agents may not borrow to avoid risk to avoid investment risk, and these programs may therefore fail to generate jobs. The allocation for the skill development program have mostly declined. This is true that Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, rupees 3,000 crore was allocated in the year financial year of 2020 to 2021, but in the 2021 to 2022, it has been reduced to 2,785. So under the Ministry of Labor and Employment Skill Development Program, the allocation got ready. Allocation got rejected, and in the Mahila Kaya Yojana, as I said, for the women's the schemes for women got rejected. The next slide will be presented by Rajiv.
So I'll be presenting climate finance. So the budget estimates is done by two key ministries of environment and climate change and Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. So the budget allocation for 2021 and 22 was 2,863 crores and 5,000 rupees, 5,646 crore by respective ministries. But the fund came down due to the shadow of COVID pandemic in the after 2019. So the India's performance. So India's recent slot is 10th in climate performance index, while the developing countries like China is at 36th rank and US is at 55th rank. Though India covers the population of 70%, it emits only 5% of carbon dioxide, and US emits 20% of the total carbon dioxide. And we can see the performance of the countries according to the German watch recently given. India's performance is quite well. Next, then an inter-country comparison that India is spending its 2% of 2.6% of its GDP on climate change, but India needs to share 11% of its GDP to reach the net zero target by 2050. The allocation of resource has been reduced to from 40 crores to 30 crores due to the pandemic, I think so. An investment was brought of 1,500 crores for India's renewable energy department. Few schemes few schemes and the allocation of money is given from the annual budget. In the next table, table 3, when we compare the other countries spending their funds for climate change. Then we see the renewable energy that India's renewable energy 4% of its energy, that is 114 megawatt of energy, is created from the waste product, and 50% of the energy, that is solar power, in that 912 megawatt of solar energy is produced from the solar panels, and it also supports the farmer from Kusum Yojana for their electrical supply. Then windmills, 28,700 megawatt of wind energy is generated from the wind energy. Then the budget status by Ministry of Environment and Climate Change. Then the National River Conservation Plan. Under this scheme, Namami Gange project also comes under this scheme. Then the fund allocation is given. And the next one is the second one, Eco Mark scheme of India. In this, 17 different products, eco-friendly products, are given label along with ISI marks to encourage eco-friendly items. And the National Afforestation Scheme. Under this scheme, Campa program is run by the government, which they plant trees in the area and also provide employment for the people under Manrega. And the last one is National Action Program to combat. Then recently in conference held in 26, PM Modi's 5 commitments towards climate change. So the first one is India will bring its non-fossil fuel energy capacity to 500 megawatt by 2030. Second commitment, by 2030, India will fulfill 50% of its energy requirement through renewable energy. And third one is India will cut down its net projected carbon emission by 1 billion tons from now until 2030. Fourth one is the company identifies and defines the potential risk that may negatively influence the specific company's project. And the fifth one is by 2070.
Hello, I'm Snehal. Me and Soma, we are going to present on marginalized section. Sector. In this, gender, children, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, minorities, and persons with disability, these things are came. Uh, why schemes for women in marginalized section? Because half of the population is women. Gender budgeting looks at budgetary committees towards their welfare and empowerment. Over the past 10 years, share of the gender budget as a share of union budget has strong about 5%. Stronger push needed to strengthen social protection for women workers. More resources needed to address rising voice for the women. Means women are facing much more problem who are working in sectors, different sectors. And when we see in on ground level, that time also, for same work, women are getting less wages. These kind of problems women are facing. For that, in these sectors, women are coming. Next. Proportion of gender budget for top 5 ministries in 2021 and 2022. When we see, these are the 5 top ministries are here. Uh, First one is Ministry of Women and Child Development. From total allocation for this ministry, they are spending 69% of them for gender budget. When we think about Ministry of Health and Family, women are more vulnerable towards health hazard. When we see anemic girls, and 54% of girls are anemic. So Ministry of Health and Family Welfare have to share at least 50% on the gender. Ministry of Human Resources and Development should be spent equal share of amount on 3 genders. And agriculture and farmers welfare. When we see agriculture, then all knows that more than 50% work in agricultural field done by women. But when we see in different perspective, women are not accepted as farmers. So Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare, they also have to share more share on this sector. Next. Allocation for gender budget from 2018 to 19 to 2021 to 22. From total union budget, 4.4% of share is allocating for this. This is mainly divided in two parts. First part is exclusively for women. In that, new for COVID. In the COVID situation, Jandan accounts are getting created. But when we see in result, Jandan account scheme went in very small area. When we see part B, directly towards beneficiary to women, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, which is for Gramin, then National Rural Livelihood Mission, here SHG and all things are came. Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, reproductive and child health, flexible poll and health system strengthening. When we see increased allocation in part B is here, and gender binary is here. Means when we see that, as I explained before, that woman is expenditure for women is necessary because women are facing more problems. But not only women, but transgenders are also facing more problems. So we have to go beyond that gender binary. And as this data shown, rehabilitation for of transgender, for that also fund is increased by 10 crore. Next. Children. Why for children? Because India is youngest nation. 18 plus population is 1/5 of total population. One of the group which is most affected by pandemic, which is children. Long term impact on this sector. Long term impacts are there. So need for special schemes are here. Next. When we see this diagram, we can able to understand that allocation for ICDS is more here. As I explained before, adolescent girls are 54% of girls are anemic, and here allocation for portion. Yes, sir. School. Yes, sir. Here we can able to understand that dropout is more. Dropout is more as per primary student. Primary student dropout is 4.13%. As per Article 21A, 6 to 14 years are free education. Then also dropout is there. And in global hunger index, 116 countries, India is came at 101. So hunger index is increased day by day. So India government have to do more expenditure on that. Because budget for child protection on reducing day by day, means this year is reduced. It causes cases of child abuse are more. Next. Scheme of SC scholarship has not worked properly because what happened earlier operation committee, before that is not confirmed that how much share is going to cover by state government and how much share is covered by state government. Now they are shared that fixed expenditure, state government and 60 and 40 respectively. Here we can able to see that last year budget is in fluctuation. 2020 and 2021 budget is higher than fluctuation. Next slide, explain this one.
Scheduled tribe. In the scheduled tribe, the Ministry of Tribal Affairs allocated raise 7,534.87 crore for the welfare of the scheduled tribe, which is the 2.2% of the total budget. And compared to the previous year, it is a substantial jump owing to the strategy of allocation for scheduled tribes. It is the increase by about 50%. And the Ministry of the Tribal Affairs announced on establishing 750 Ekalabha Model Residential School in tribal area. Allocated amount is 1,418.04 crore. And they are increased the unit cost for each school from 20 crore to 38 crore. And for hilly and difficulties area, they are allocated amount raised 48 crore. And okay. and the center has allocated 35,219 crore for 6 years to benefit approximately 4 crore students belonging to SC category. Next. This is the announced and achievement of the Ecolabo Model Residential School. Like that, in this chart, they shows that they announced about the 750 school to establish, and by this they can achieve 632 school, and among them 367 school are functioning. And the Ministry of Tribal Affairs trying to bring the school under the Navodaya Vidyalaya. And in the year of the 2022, they try to open school 462. Next is the enrollment student of the EMRS, like that Ecolabo Model Residential School. In this, the government announced to cover the population, 50% population of the tribal people. In this, they can cover the 85,700 students. Among them, the female enrollment, like that girls are the higher than the male. And to setting up the Ecolabo Model Residential School, they make one society named Kendriya Vidyalaya for work on the tribal development block betterly. And there is no any finance. There is no issue in the finance. There is the issue of the implementation. And next is the minorities. They mainly focused on the Muslim for their education attainment, gender equality, and workforce participation. They allocated 1.4% of the total budget, which is the 805.77 crore of the previous year. And for the development of the minorities, they started two policy, like Prime Minister new 15-point program, and next is the Pradhan Mantri Jan Vikas Karyakaram. It is the renamed of the multi-sectional development program, which is achieved in the 2006 to 2008. And these all schemes are come under the Ministry of Minority Affairs. And for them, the Ministry of Minority not allocated any new scheme. Next. And this is the chart of that showing that in the from the 2016 to 2017 to 2021 to 2022, how the budget estimate is fluctuating. Like that in 2020 to 21, the budget estimate was high, but in the recent 2021 to 2020 years, it was decreased from the 2022 to 2021. And okay, thank you.
Okay, I think you must have seen what these four important sectors, how was the performance. So now we will go to the budget presentation by the Finance Minister. Hopefully, the people who are in online, they can watch this in their respective YouTube video, so that for the clarity and all, ask each and everyone, please watch this. Okay, and you can join at 2:45 in the same link. So those people in the online, if they are not able to see the NDTV, you can visit in the YouTube, the NDTV live, and make note of it. And please join at 2:45 p.m. for the panel comments and the expert panel views on this. Thank you for participation. Thank you.